Hi, my name is Janaya Mask and I attend ICA Cash Career Academy. This is my first year part of Project Pool and my career interest is communication. Also, my role in my group is a director.
Hi, my name is Megan. I go to Lowell. This is my second year in Project Poll. My career pathway is communications and I am the researcher and writer of this group.
Hi, I am Jonathan Palich-Misner. I go to the International School of San Francisco. This is my first year in Project Poll. I'm in the environmental science career pathway, and I am a researcher/writer in this project.
My name is Isaiah. I attend Archbishop Bruin High School. This is my first year as a Project Poll intern. My career interest is in engineering, and my roles include researcher and minutes taker.
Hi, my name is Tula Roderick. I'm a rising 11th grader at Lowell High School, and my career interest is environmental science. For this video, I took on the role of video editing. For our research project, Team Quarantines chose to explore the effects of distance learning and shelter in place due to the spread of COVID-19 in America, focusing specifically on the high school population of San Francisco.
COVID-19 is a strain of the coronavirus originating in Wuhan in January of 2020. The virus eventually spread to European countries, such as Italy, where the effects took a huge toll on the Italian population and continued to spread until it hit the U.S. A national emergency was declared on March 13, 2020, with San Francisco officially instituting its shelter-in-place orders on March 17th. The majority of SF schools were closed the previous week, as the San Francisco Unified School District instituted a closing on March 13th, while other private and Catholic schools of the Archdiocese closed around the same time.
We did this out of the abundance of caution for the safety and welfare of our students.
We're talking about San Francisco Unified and KPIX5's Wilson Walker at that school now. And is this quickly becoming the new normal?
Instead of in-class learning, schools have developed online learning programs to continue education outside of the classroom. Private and Catholic schools were able to easily transition into total online learning through the education platforms they already used, while SFUSD schools constructed schedules for Zoom meetings with teachers, similar to their usual in-person schedules in order to imitate the normalcy of everyday classes.
COVID-19 has not only affected how students learn, but also disrupted other aspects of a teenager's life. The virus canceled important events such as graduations and prom while halting celebrations of a sweet 16 and 18 birthdays, or getting one's driver's license. These milestones are very important for adolescent development, and missing them has important mental health impacts on high school adolescents. Many adolescents have come to terms with these disappointments, but the lack of social connection and new stress factors has triggered many previous, current, or new mental health challenges among 9th through 12th graders.
What grade are you in, and what's your age?
I am a junior in high school and I'm 17.
15.
So I'm going to be a senior in the fall and I am currently 16 years old.
I'm a sophomore and I'm 15.
Has your schoolwork become more or less of a cause of stress since quarantine?
I would say the stress level is somewhat the same. I mean, it's at a pretty high stress level.
More of a cause of stress, just because it's a lot to manage at home, and my teachers have been kind of loading it on me, so.
How has your productivity changed from before quarantine to now?
Definitely changed a lot. I find myself a lot less productive, especially because at home I feel like I get distracted.
I haven't been productive at all. Like cleaning wise, yeah, but everything else, no.
It's definitely gotten worse because I'm in an environment where I can just like jump on my bed or just like turn on Netflix and just completely forget about schoolwork or just doing what I'm supposed to do.
How much social interaction have you had? Have you seen your friends in person or talked to them online?
I've barely had any contact with people. I've been in the house.
I haven't been able to go out and hang out with my friends in person because my parents don't really want me to go out yet.
How is your home life and has social distance learning affected it?
when you're with like your family for the entire day, every single day, tension can definitely rise from that.
Can you self-assess the overall progress or decline of your mental health since the shelter-in-place order?
School is kind of harder because it's like more independent and don't really have as much support as I used to.
I would say it's become more of a cause of stress because I can't like talk to my teachers in person, and it's just harder to like understand what they're trying to like assign or understand like what they're trying to get out of like whatever they're assigning me.
I would say since this all started, my anxiety's gotten a bit worse. Just like trying to manage myself and do schoolwork and all that. Um, I I've had a little bit of trouble with that, so it hasn't been that great.
What are the ways schools or individuals can change their practices to better protect the mental health of their students or themselves from the psychological impacts of COVID-19 and quarantine?
I mean, I think a little less schoolwork would be nice, especially because it's been really hard to be productive.
Assign less work, but maybe like make it so that due dates are like looser.
What are the ways that your parents and guardians can support your mental health and make sure home life is as stable as possible?
I guess they can try and make space for each of me and my siblings to kind of talk about how we're feeling and maybe check in on us more with schoolwork and stuff, because I've been pretty much self-monitoring and I found out I'm pretty terrible at that. So if they could help a little bit, that'd be good.
Do you have access to people or resources that can be of assistance if you're struggling?
So I have a pretty good network within my school for that. And I know a lot of people that could help me out if I'm struggling.
What practices have you advised your students to take to stay healthy mentally during quarantine?
Yeah, I've advised a couple of things. So first and foremost is just having a routine. So I know that it's been hard for a lot of students to have a routine, considering that they are, they're at home by themselves sometimes, and they can do whatever they want with their time. And then secondly, I've also been recommending just like getting outside, even if it means like for a walk around the block or just, to open your front door and sit outside on the porch.
What are the potential mental health risks of quarantine on students at different age levels?
I can speak a little bit for high school levels. I think for 9th and 10th graders, it was hard for them to be disciplined about their time and to really know exactly what they're supposed to be doing with their time, because they're still new to being a high school student, and they weren't really sure what to do, and that sort of got confusing, and then also allowed them to not keep up with as much things that they were supposed to. Also, I think just isolation was a big problem during this quarantine. A lot of students, they like going to school, they like seeing their friends, and they like having that contact with other adults besides their parents. So those were two things that I saw.
All right. What are some actual mental health impacts that you've seen in your students?
I think sometimes students, especially in your teenage years, is a lot of time when mental illness comes up. So you might be like totally okay all throughout your life until maybe 15 or 16, and then mental illness sort of comes out as your brain is developing. So I think being in isolation and being in quarantine might have sped that up for some students, unfortunately. And I think being in isolation and just having a lot of time to reflect and to think about your own self and your own life and get in your own head was detrimental to some students. And also the students who, were already having a hard time in school with their family problems or with their individual problems. It sort of just got bigger when they were at home.
So what are some ways schools can protect can change their practices to better protect the mental health of their students?
It'd be really important to have regularly weekly meetings with students. So having actual class time on Zoom if we have to be in quarantine again, just so that you can have that connection with students. And I would really love to see more, once we know more about this virus and how it spread, even more community involvement, if that means checking in on 10 students at their house, like just driving by and making sure everyone's okay and that kind of stuff.
So what are some ways parents can help improve the mental health of their kids and make sure like their home life is as stable as possible?
I think communication, just like checking in and seeing how they're doing. I think, this is a hard time for parents too. It's not only for students, right? Like we're all going through this for the first time and we all don't know what to expect or what to do.
So the last question is, are there any resources for students to get help and support if they're struggling?
There are a lot of city resources, but so we did put it like in our newsletter. So we have a lot of things like for students who maybe aren't eating because they usually eat at school lunch or something like that. There's resources for that. I think as far as mental health resources, it's going to be the same types of things that we recommend during school, which is like texting the SF suicide hotline if you want to talk to someone. It doesn't necessarily have to be about suicide. It can be about other thoughts and other feelings. Sometimes students feel better when they're able to text.
We conducted a survey of people in Project Poll and received 37 responses. 45.9% of respondents were rising 11th graders. 40.5% were rising 12th graders, and 13.5% were rising college freshmen. From these responses, we found that in this group, schools on average required 4 hours and 6 minutes of schoolwork per day, although students actually spent an average of 4 hours and 34 minutes on schoolwork. Additionally, 34 of 37 respondents stated quarantine had impacted their productivity, 82.3% of which said it was poorly impacted, either significantly or slightly. 67.6% of respondents stated quarantine had poorly impacted their mental health, either slightly or significantly. However, when asked if you were to experience mental health issues, which, if any, of the following resources would you both have access to and feel comfortable using, most students did list at least one resource, 27 out of 37 listing close friends and 13 out of 37 listing a therapist.
To conclude, the adjustment to distance learning and the isolation of the shelter-in-place has had adverse effects for high school students. According to the students we interviewed, their overall productivity has decreased as a result of the change in environment. The comfort of being in their own home overshadowed the typical productive mindset of a school environment, leading to a less motivated group of students. In addition to the change in environment, distance learning as a result of the shelter-in-place has led to social isolation of teens. With everyone confined to their own homes, high schoolers have found it difficult to remain in contact with their usual social circle, many of whom they used to have everyday in-person interaction with. That lack of support has also tested the mental health of those students, which was already on edge from the sudden adjustment to online learning and become a more poignant cause of stress. Since the obvious solution of returning to normalcy is off the table at the moment, any steps both the school and other students could take in order to check in with students' mental health would benefit them greatly in this challenging time. Keeping that stressor in mind, teachers and administration should base the pace of their class off of their assessment of the students' capabilities. Both environment and motivation play a huge role in productivity, and since both have changed immensely in the past months, schools should take this opportunity to encourage their students to take care of their mental health above all else at this time.